Hey guys, welcome back. Today we've got Pasta. He creates AI videos. You may know him from his Bupella AMV, which is extremely popular. We're going to be talking to him today about how he creates his AI videos and what he thinks about the space in general.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm Pasta. I'm fairly new to the community, probably only about a month, but it's just been a whirlwind of creation and growth, and I'm just so excited about the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty new too. I think it's either today or tomorrow will be my second week creating content. It's been primarily around the whole Skyebrows kind of community, and it's been really spectacular how much growth I've gained from that and support. Everyone's really supportive.
Yeah, absolutely. The amount of just support and content sharing and the whole meta of like cameoing each other to kind of cross-pollinate is actually genius if you think about it just from a marketing standpoint. I mean, you saw how Skyebrows went from 0 to like 50K subscribers since I guess October of last year just from doing that.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, and it's like you said, it's sort of like an ecosystem where the people create the content, and then they use the reactors to boost their reach. But then the reactors use the content creators for their own content. It's very interesting. I'm wondering how far this is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of reaching a saturation point on some of the original formatting, but it's just been interesting to see some of the newer creators that might have had like more background in art previously start to embrace AI tools, and now they're starting to make stuff, and so I think we have a lot of growth going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get into our questions. So the first question is, and we kind of touched on this a little bit, do you have any background in creative or tech work, or did AI content come out of nowhere for you, and what sparked it?
Yeah, I know I don't really have a lot of background in video editing, audio engineering, AI, or anything. I have always kind of had a passive interest in like the people that would make like fan music videos for like anime or stuff like that, but I've never really felt like I had the tools needed to create something like that until this new AI revolution.
Yeah, it really did lower the entry for creating entry in both like the financial and the skill sense, and I find that it's a sort of a new skill in of itself. You know, it's not like old AMVs and stuff that people used to make where it was just editing clips together. You actually have to create the clips from nothing using the AI, but it still requires a vision beforehand. You can't just simply put in one line and then, you know, there you go, you've got the next Crybrowse, for example.
Yeah, definitely like you said, it's a little more slanted less towards the technical aspect of learning how to like, you know, do your editing and stuff, like, you know, like buying a really expensive Adobe Premiere subscription and learning how to use that. Now it's more about prompting, which that's actually something I've always been really good with, like reading comprehension and stuff like that. So I think that gives me a slight edge on some of the people where I lack the you know, the technical knowledge.
It's an interesting point. Yeah, I wouldn't have really thought about that, but that does make sense. So, Bupella is the music video you made for Bupella's song is your most popular one so far, I believe. What really inspired that? Why Bupella's song?
Well, once I got involved in the Skyebrows community, I think it was just a random YouTube post from Skyebrows that was shouting out Bupella's music. And when I checked Bupella's stuff out, for some reason that one track just kind of stood out at me. I mean, I love the genre, and also just the cameo mentions in that song. I was like, this would be a perfect opportunity for me to like, you know, flex my skills to add all of those elements into like a nice fun AMV.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, it at first I thought that was your video, not your video, but your song and your video, sort of like how everything sort of is created by one creator so far. But I didn't realize it was more or less an unofficial collaboration between you two. And that was really cool because I think you really fit the vibe of the song perfectly. I didn't even realize it was two different creators, so you did a really great job.
Weirder than that, because Bupella wasn't on Twitter originally. I didn't know how to reach out to ask before I even made it. So it kind of came as a surprise that I used one of Bupella's songs in my AMV. So you know, maybe I should have reached out beforehand. But I think Bupella is appreciative of it now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They seem really stoked about it. I would be too. How do people think your videos are made? What does your actual workflow look like?
I think the perception that a lot of people have is that it's that it doesn't require a lot of like forethought ahead of time, but you can easily waste a ton of time and tokens, you know, depending on what model you're using, generating a bunch of junk without actually like taking the time to patiently make like a full storyboard beforehand and stuff like that. And that's typically how I start my workflow is instead of just cramming a bunch of really cool, trippy videos together to make like a cool music video, I like to kind of think of what kind of narrative story I want to weave throughout the video first. So I'll storyboard that out first, and then that gives me kind of an idea of what generations I need to do. And I'll kind of just fill in the timeline at random points throughout the whole video. So like I'll start by generating the scenes that like I know I want to have, and then kind of try to fill in the story between those points.
Yeah, that's, you know, initially whenever I saw these AI videos, I thought that they were more or less just generated entirely for, like in one prompt, maybe 2 prompts because of the time limitation, but I thought it was just, you know, wham bam, 1 paragraph prompt, maybe do it again, stitch it 2 together, and then you're fine. But it, you know, it's a lot more work. And actually, I'll put on screen some screenshots that you've taken for us, showing your process and the programs that you use. And you know, having already seen them, that's a huge prompt, and it's a lot of work going into it. So I really underestimated it, and I think people will be surprised whenever they see it as well.
Yeah, for a little bit more of a fleshed out idea of my workflow, because of the nature of the way Grok works, it's always good to start with a good base image. So I just happen to have a free subscription to Gemini because I bought a Google Pixel phone. So I use NanoBanana to make the base image first most of the time, and then I'll look.
What is NanoBanana?
It is a diffusion-based model that you get. It's, you know, by Google, and it's just great because it responds a lot better to image editing than like Grok, for instance. The diffusion-based model will evaluate the entire image globally at every single step instead of building it patch by patch like Grok does. Because like, you'll notice, like if you try to edit an image directly in Grok more than once or twice, you'll start getting these vertical scan line artifacts. So that's the downside of Grok. So that's why it's always better to use a diffusion-based model for your base image if you need to make any editing.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'd seen those vertical lines coming through. I'd wondered what that was about, so that's interesting. So, do you think AI video content is heading towards saturation? You know, personally, I think that it is, simply because of the ease of putting out content. And I think that will also inherently cause the audience to seek higher and higher quality content as a baseline. So things like your Bupella AMV, that right now is one of the best ones out there. But soon people will start expecting that as the baseline. What do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate the compliment, by the way. But yeah, Skyebrows said the same thing in one of our recent calls, where he always feels like he needs to one-up himself, right? Which I'm sure any kind of artist or creator could relate to, but specifically when it comes to AI, because like you said, that the barrier to entry is so low, there's going to be so much more quote-unquote competition out there that it is going to be harder to, you know, to stand out. So you really need to start doing more things other than just taking base character reference sheets and slamming a bunch of cameos into your video. Do something like Lady Wasabi does in the LouieVerse and convert those characters into a new type of theme that no one's seen before, or tell your own original story, you know. But yeah, I think people have definitely gotten oversaturated with just the whole cameo fest. Cameogeddon, as I like to call it.
Cameogeddon. And yeah, and I if anybody has watched my AI is not art video, my definition of art is pretty strict, and I'm pretty harsh on both modern physical art as well as AI. And I think that most AI generations fit solidly into the slop category. And with that's not to say all, but a lot of it is. And that's just because of how easy it is to create anything with AI. I mean, you put it in 5 words and AI will give you something. It may not be great, it probably won't be good at all, but it'll give you something. People just upload that directly to the internet. So I think that's really flooding the space. But I also think that there's the temptation, and you kind of touched on this before, is that with cameos comes exposure. and access to audiences because of people reacting to it. And I think there's the temptation there is just to make a video for the sake of cameos, for the sake of exposure. And I think that is, I think that's going to burn people out pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously every VTuber and content creator appreciates when they see their cameo in there, and you can't deny the meta of like how I did. Like I have a picture of Nuxanor as my thumbnail, which got his ADHD mind to watch it for 5 seconds at least before clicking off of it on his stream. But yeah, it's going to once everyone starts doing that, you're going to have to stand out somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, who are your biggest inspirations in the space? I'm going to assume that Skyebrows is one of them, but is there anybody else?
Well, it's absolutely Skyebrows. I was pretty much completely in the dark to the whole... I mean, I knew AI videos were around, obviously, like 2000, since the whole, like, Will Smith eating spaghetti thing and going into, going from there. But I think it was Amelia's that just, like, randomly showed up on my YouTube feed a month ago, and I clicked on it and I read the description and I was like, wait, this guy made this all with like AI? And from there I just started to just autistically start reading up on it and realize that it's all about the prompting. So I started like read into like cinematography terms, and I went on like ArtStation and just like figure out different like art styles, and yeah, you realize how deep you can go into it.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, Skyebrows was the first time, and I'll reference the video again, in the AI is not art video. Towards the end, I talk about how Skyebrows was the first time that I actually considered anything that came out of AI as art. That was because Skyebrows himself already showed the ability to do something artistic. He had the skill and the ability to direct essentially a movie using a song, and it wasn't the AI doing it for him. He was just using it as a tool. So I definitely get Skyebrows as an inspiration. Is there anybody else that you would think is an inspiration either before you started or even after you started?
I would say since he was the first and only one that I knew was using AI, it would definitely be afterwards. A couple people stand out, like obviously Lady Wasabi and the LouieVerse and Red Veil that she created. What was new to that is, like while Skyebrows is really good at making all those like really cool, trippy, visually and stimulating generations and putting them all together, LouieVerse was the first time I saw someone that tried to like twist it into their own original content and tell like like actual consecutive story with and do world building with AI.
Yeah, absolutely, and I really enjoy the LouieVerse as well. That is a fantastic setting. I really enjoy it. Is there any tips that you would like to give people wanting to start out? I know that Grok is pretty accessible, and I've heard that is one of the easiest ones to get into. But there's also some higher tier options you can get into if you have the disposable funds. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I've tried some of the more expensive models, and they are very powerful, but I think if you're starting off, you're going to do yourself a disservice actually with using some of those more complex and easy to use models. I think learning how to prompt is going to be probably the number one thing that's going to carry you forward with any of the models. So learn about different types of lighting from a cinematography or like a game developer would. Look at some creative writing and novelists and how they describe scenes and what words they use, and learn camera angles and learn art styles, and because the way these models are trained is based on all the stuff that's already out there. So if you're trying to nail a specific vibe, if you know the right words to use, it's going to make your time a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's, I think, the blend of traditional and modern skills is definitely where you need to go if you want to make an impact, because the whole let the AI do it for you, that's already oversaturated, and I think people can see that. So you really need to be able to tell a story, have a vision, and then have the technical skill to implement that through the AI and through editing. Is there any smaller creators that you'd like to shout out? Because we've already talked about Lady Wasabi and Skyebrows, but I know there's a ton of new people coming in. Is there anyone that you're looking at?
Yeah, on Twitter, one just stood out to me like the last couple of weeks. goes by Julie Lacroy, on YouTube as Julie on the Cross. You gotta watch the Cleopatra AI video. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek Gooner AI slop video, but it's really well done, and it tells a consistent story, and the music is great. So, you know, it's someone that, you know, when you combine someone that has a clear artistic vision with some really cool looking generations and a really catchy song, that's just something special that doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and we'll put their socials in the description, that way people can go check them out. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about, or are we're pretty good here?
Yeah, well, thanks for the opportunity for having me on. I am constantly adding more of these content creators and VTubers on Twitter and seeing their generations, and it's so awesome how if you upload the link directly from Grok, you can basically steal everyone's prompts and kind of play with them yourself. and most people are really upfront about sharing a lot of that, which is cool, because that's the thing I've been thinking about going forward, is if this is the new way that art's going to be done, how are we going to handle things like intellectual property and stuff like that? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, if a studio wants to start using these tools and individual artists want to monetize this type of stuff, you know, what do you keep to yourself and what do you share? So that's just the question I'm always thinking about.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I've wondered about this too, and I've seen one side say that there should be no such thing as intellectual property, but, you know, personally I think that is a little bit naive, because, you know, intellectual property is a very deep, it's a deep rabbit hole to go down, but essentially what it is knowledge is always gate-kept for a reason, and it's because it took effort and skill and creativity to come up with, and you need to eat. So until we come up with some idea of like a universal food income, I guess, and basic necessities being provided at no cost, intellectual property is one of those mechanisms that you need to sustain yourself so you can keep creating and also to keep living.
Absolutely. Until the AIs can do more than just pop their clanker booties for us in a video and start doing all of our jobs for us and taking care of all of our, you know, our needs, then yeah, we're gonna have to come up with a solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining me on this one. It's our first interview, and I think it went over spectacularly.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you guys for watching, and if you want to see more, go ahead and like and subscribe. I'll put down Pasta's socials in the description below, and have a good one.